Thank you for joining us. The following presentation is from a breakfast networking event titled Coaching, a strategic tool for leadership and self-development that originally took place on February 19th, 2014. The presenters are Connie and Gary Ostwald. Enjoy the presentation and visit us online at www.messiahbusiness.com for information about our future events.
Sponsors to come up and share about why they are sponsoring this breakfast, as well as talking about themselves, sharing what they do. We recognize that we cannot do these breakfasts. We just cannot pull it out without the financial support of our generous sponsors. We are very thankful to Parente Beard for what they've done for us as our sponsors. I'd like to ask Kervin Meyer to come up and talk about Parente Beard. Please join me in welcoming Kervin.
I'd like to first off start off by thanking Jay and everyone for inviting us to make this sponsorship. We're glad to do it. I graduated from Messiah College a long time ago, 1985. And as I was looking at the list of participants here, I sort of realized that I'm one of the older people. But Messiah College has opened up so many doors for me over the years. So I have a big debt of gratitude to Messiah College. Sort of came in totally green and then allowed me to find employment. So thank you. Our firm is Parente Beard. We are excited to be able to sponsor this specific program because we believe in coaching. We believe in training our people. Parente Beard, we're an accounting firm. We're actually the largest Pennsylvania-based accounting firm. We have like 19 offices, most of them in Pennsylvania. So we pretty much have Pennsylvania covered, and one of the top 25 firms in the country. One of the cool things is we're a member of Baker Tilly International. One of the things that's happened over the years is it seems like the world's gotten to be a smaller and smaller place, and we have more and more of our clients have international activities. And so we're a part of a network of firms called Baker Tilly International. So when we have clients that have subsidiaries overseas or vice versa, we can reach out to them. And for me personally, it's been a fabulous experience. When I went to Messiah and took a job down in York at that time, it was a small accounting firm. I never envisioned that my job would eventually let me travel to like Singapore and Beijing, China, and some of those other places where I've gotten to go as being the liaison for this network for our firm. So it's been great. One of the things we do for our firm is, in the accounting firm, you work hard, but we believe that there has to be balance. In fact, I think in Ecclesiastes it says about there's time for everything. And one of the things for people to do their best for our clients and ourselves, we have to have balance in our life and in our work. And this video about our firm just highlights the fact that we believe in balance.
I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. My 5-year-old just started T-ball this year. I managed to make every practice and every game.
I always say I think work-life balance is something everybody has to find for themselves.
We do work very hard. They allow us to have a life outside of work that you would not think an accounting firm would let you have. They legitimately believe in the work-life balance. I love going to unique places and having different types of food.
To me, it's all about the people.
Working at Parente Beard provides us with a certain level of flexibility. I've done, I think, 4 marathons. I've completed 4 marathons. The hardest thing is probably the training and the commitment that you need to make to the training and making the time.
I'm a big exercise fan. To get up and achieve things every day, to set limits and goals on yourself and to actually achieve them, you develop such a level of confidence.
I'm passionate about my family.
My 2 teenage boys.
I've gotten into being more healthy.
I'm into classic cars. Parente Beard has always been completely 100% accommodating. People are passionate about what they do. They like what they're doing. They're talented enough to execute it at a high level. And they're also driven to do even more than they're doing today.
With flexibility comes accountability.
No one's micromanaged on their time. They understand what their job is. They understand what needs to get done. If I have to go coach a practice, I can leave when I need to. No one questions. In fact, it's encouraged.
I go running at Central Park. I take yoga 3 days a week. Bike riding.
Passion that we put into our work transcends into our personal life. You don't feel as though you have to get everything done between 8 and 5, and that really takes a lot off of your mind.
What's nice about Perenny Beard is everyone is very, very easy to talk to. I can talk to someone who's one level above me or a partner and tell them what I have going on, and everyone's very understanding.
Being with family is extremely important to my own self-growth. I get a lot of different kind of assignments and different clients. That makes it interesting that every day I have something different on my plate. I think I can go anywhere and prepare a tax return, but it's the people around me that make the world of difference.
We know what we have to do. We're held accountable for what we need to do and have to do. And at the end of the day, we always get it done.
One of the people that was highlighted in that video is actually our new managing partner, Dave Capitana. Dave, if you can wave to everyone. Dave has been doing a great job helping us bring balance to our firm, and he's been leading by example. He was the weightlifter in the video, so everybody be nice to Dave. Okay. We believe also in serving our community. We have a lot of clients that are civic organizations, and in fact, we're privileged and take great pride in the fact that we're actually the auditing firm for Messiah College. We have John Rafter here, the audit partner, but it's been truly one of our most prestigious clients, and we appreciate that opportunity. One of the things I was told a long time ago is this is a great community, great profession. We all have a responsibility to give back. Here is just an example of some of the different civic organizations we sponsor and help. And then lastly, because we're close to 1,000 people, we have a lot of people with deep specialties, and we're able to be part of the group that are the newsmakers. And here's just some examples of some of the partners that were quoted in national news organizations. And probably one of the things that gives me great pleasure is the fact that we have a lot of alumni that are employees of our firm. It's been, I think the accounting program at Messiah College is right up there at the very top. And so, we're fortunate that we're able to work together. You train them, we train them, and we all do better because of that. So thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. Here's just a list, a couple of names. Thank you to my table over here too.
You know, sometimes in life, you expect to get one thing, and you actually get two. And that's kind of the way it was for the Department of Management and Business in Messiah College when we hired Connie Ostwald about 3 years ago. Little did we know that she was part of this great team with her husband, Gary. They have been involved in coaching and leadership development in many different ways, both with corporate clients and also with PhD students. So it's a real privilege to invite them forward now to get us started in a conversation about coaching that's actually going to continue throughout the spring into our next event. So let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Connie Ostwald and Dr. Gary Ostwald.
Thank you, David. I also want to thank Perenny Beard too. And I just really like the video to show the whole concept of, it's not just an employee for Perenny Beard, but you're a whole person. And that's what coaching is really all about. And that's our goal this morning. Our first goal is to have fun and do a little interactive exercise so that you guys can, really think about how this pertains to you and your life. but it's also time for us to share what our passion is. And, this is a rapidly changing world. And coaching is a great tool to help you keep up with those changes. So this morning we're going to talk about what coaching is, also what coaching isn't. We're going to give you a chance to interact, and we're going to give you some examples from real life here, from our experiences working with individuals, organizations, teams, the international environment, domestic, whatever, and just be able to get into the topic. We have a lot of information, so we want to get going, and both of us are going to be contributing here. But first of all, when you think about what is a coach, you probably think about athletics, right? And I think about a sports team, coaching my kids' soccer, whatever. And, we all know the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. Well, we on the East Coast really don't care, but my family's from Seattle. And so Monday morning, I called my family to congratulate them, sharing their joy. And I was told by my family members that what made the difference was not that wonderful young quarterback, a strong Christian, a great role model, but the coach. And behind the scenes, that coach took an active interest in the full life of each one of his players. He cared about them as, integrated people, all the parts of their life working together. And yes, that's part of coaching, and kind of sets the stage for a model here today. So, what coaching is, what coaching isn't, who's using it? That's where we're headed. First of all, though, we have a little video here.
Over the years, I've received so many different kinds of advice, I don't know where to start. One that comes to mind is to have a coach. Our board member in 2002, John Doerr, said, "You need a coach." And I said, "Well, I don't need a coach. I'm an established CEO. Why would I need a coach? Is something wrong?" He said, No, you need a coach. Everybody needs a coach. So Bill Campbell became my coach and has served Google very well. Every famous athlete, every famous performer has somebody who's a coach. Somebody who can watch what they're doing and say, is that what you really meant? Did you really do that? They can give them perspective. The one thing people are never good at is seeing themselves as others see them. A coach really, really helps.
Thank you. We also have another example here, Andy Stanley. How many people know who Andy Stanley is, pastor? Okay, he's just a great voice of the new generation. In his book, The Next Generation Leader, he says that you'll never reach a full spiritual maturity and be fully transformed without somebody there to give you feedback and to reflect and give you perspective. You will never maximize your potential in any area without coaching. It is impossible. You may be good, you may even be better than everyone else, but to be the best leader you can be, you must enlist the help of others. You need a leadership coach. Well, our goal this morning is not to just talk about, your own self-development, but also you and your roles as leaders and your influence over other people and how coaching can help there too. So Andy's talking about leaders here. So what are these guys talking about? Okay, here's a metaphor. You saw that Eric Schmidt from Google talked about perspective. You never see yourself as others see you. How many of you have studied the Johari window in your classes here? Okay, one of the keys to that is that other people don't see you the way you see yourself. They also don't see you the way you think they see you. Okay, so how are you going to be able to see through other people's eyes? Well, you need feedback. And I know that in our leadership classes, we teach the importance of feedback at Messiah College, but feedback is harder than it looks, okay? Research has shown that feedback increases job satisfaction, okay? Someone who can give you a little pat on the back, give you a little encouragement, a little constructive advice, whatever. It increases your effectiveness, it increases your job satisfaction. However, it's easier said than done, okay? We are hardwired for self-protection. And this self-protection says, okay, I'm not sure who I want giving me feedback here. I need a trusted relationship. And, there's too much, it's tough to have my boss give me feedback because he also has my future in his hands. And so who can I get from somebody on the outside? Also, there's a concept called engaged feedback that comes out of Brene Brown's work on Daring Greatly. How many of you guys have read her book? Good stuff, real good stuff. And that we tend to bury our vulnerable selves. So therefore, we're never really open to that feedback. And we need to find somebody that we can engage with where it's not only a trust relationship, but someone knows our truth. Someone knows what we're about, who we're about, the whole person, kind of like the Parente Beard model there. Somebody knows the whole person. The other point about feedback is that, wow, if you're at the top of your organization, it's kind of lonely at the top. And Gary's clients are often CEOs of their companies, and who can you talk to when you're at the top? And so feedback becomes very important. With a coach, you have a trusted advisor, trusted feedback. We have a metaphor. This was explained to us in our coaching training about being on the dance floor of life, okay? You're on the dance floor of life. You think you're doing well, you're networking, you're meeting lots of people, your career's going well, but okay, take a step back, go up to the balcony. Now look down at yourself. What do you see yourself doing? Are you still using models that you learned while you were in college? Maybe you're doing the twist from the 60s, and there are many years beyond that now. And so, you think you're just having a heyday and things are going well, but maybe if you stepped onto that balcony and looked down at yourself, maybe you'd see a different point of view and something you could work on. Gary, do you have an example from like one of your coaches or something, one of your coachees or mentees that maybe they stepped on that balcony and saw something?
Yeah, a good example is a client I was working with, just call him Jack. Basically, Jack thought that he was very participatory and he was involving his people and he was a good listener. And that's sort of what he thought he was doing when he was on the dance floor. But the reality was we did a 360, and the feedback he got from his workers is that he was not that way at all. He wanted to be participatory and listen, but his team was telling him something totally different. So through a coaching process, I got him to do just what Connie was talking about, is some observations where he would imagine himself on the balcony watching him in meetings. And it turned out that he often, when he wanted feedback from others, would also lean in and be very aggressive when he supposedly was asking for feedback. And he couldn't understand that that was really stopping people from speaking. He had to lean back and actually zip his own mouth and listen more effectively. And he didn't realize he was not doing that until we had a process of coaching and giving him some feedback. But the difficulty is even once you know that, it just becomes what's called, and Connie will talk about this more, a technical change. It just kind of like willing the fact that, well, I'll just lean back and I'll just zip it. The reality is that's quite difficult for senior leaders to do that have succeeded by leaning forward and speaking up. So through a process of coaching deeply, we're able to uncover the fact that Jack, when he sits back and doesn't speak as much, starts to feel like he's not contributing. Like, why am I the boss then? Or what am I doing? And so he has some self-limiting behaviors. And he doesn't understand that that's okay to sit back and he can still be the boss. But that's a difficult thing for him to overcome. Does that make sense? And that's what a coach has to help him do, is change his mindset. He has to change his mindset that to be a successful leader doesn't necessarily always mean that you have to lean forward and be so demanding of your people. And it took a while for him to learn that. So that's an example, Connie.
Good. We'll have lots more examples here. So before we go deeply into what coaching is, I want to say what it's not. Okay? Athletic coaching. Well, athletic coaching we know is, helps you work on your skills. We know that Messiah's soccer team, Mike Zigarelli's book, our coaching at Messiah goes way beyond that. And, improving your skills is definitely part of our big picture of coaching, but it's not the whole thing. It's not the whole thing. Performance coaching is similar to athletic coaching, but it's in the workplace. It's working on skills. It's sending our people in for training. It's getting them better at their job. That's an important thing too, but it includes that, but it's more than that. You've probably heard the term life coaching, okay? Life coaching is it's encouraging, it's cheerleading, it's holding people accountable, but that's a component of, a bigger picture of what we call executive coaching or leadership coaching, but it's not all of it, okay? And coaching is not therapy. Okay, therapy is when you're working on an issue and, you want to keep it private. It looks back towards your past to see where these behaviors come from. Coaching is for people who are already successful. It's not necessarily working on a problem or an issue. It's moving forward. It's being all that you can be. So it's not therapy. Actually, executive coaching comes out of adult development theory. And we're, professors, we're kind of nerds here. So we like to look at the theory behind it. It's not psychology. It comes out of the theory that adults can continue to develop, learn, change, and grow throughout life. We don't stay where we are, stay in the same style. The world is rapidly changing around us. And as we continue to mature and move through life, our brains are capable of moving to higher levels of development. And, specifically, there's different stages. We won't go into the stages here, but a good coach can lead you, through different stages of your adult development. What coaching does is focus on adaptive change rather than technical change. And a technical change is learning the skills, learning a new behavior. Somebody tells you to do something and you practice it and you do it. And we can all learn new skills. Adaptive change gets into the idea of mindsets. And your mindset, it's the way you see the world. It's your beliefs. It's your values. It's the way you react to people. It's the way you were socialized into adulthood. It includes the cognitive aspects of what you learned, what you were trained, but it also includes all these other aspects. And so that's not so easy to change with a training program. So coaching takes time, and it takes you willing to look beneath the surface to find out what's going on there. Coaching is a relationship between two people, and it's also a process, okay? So we like to think that this process includes, starts with self-awareness, and a coach can really help you work through that to find out who you are, your authentic self. Dave has worked in Gary's class here and done a lot of this self-development, self-awareness stuff. And it's a deep process, and it takes time, and it takes being vulnerable in a safe situation here. So before, Gary, do you want to give us some ideas here while we get going for the activity? So he's going to give us some stories of real organizations while Dan passes out our activity.
We want to be interactive, so you will get a piece of paper shortly, and so you can take a look at that. We'll be using that in just a minute. But let me just go deeper, maybe a deep dive into this difference between performance coaching and what Connie and I do, which is developmental coaching. The whole idea is to get at what's called an adaptive change, because it's one thing to have a willful approach to try to change something that you're doing and try very, very hard, New Year's resolution kind of stuff. But the research says that that normally doesn't stay very long, that you drop off, or that you really can't make the change because you really are, in essence, shooting yourself in the your foot, or that there's something going on like a self-limiting behavior. And the research that was done at Harvard, and Connie and I both have been to Harvard multiple times to take courses from these researchers, but it started at the Massachusetts General Hospital, these researchers in actually the School of Education about adult development theory. And a big problem with people is when they are non-compliance with meds is a serious problem in America, where people that have a serious illness don't comply and don't take their medicine. And so you might wonder, well, if it's a serious illness and maybe perhaps even death, why wouldn't they take their medicine? And so Bob and Lisa, these two researchers that we got to know, did a very controlled experiment, and they ended up finding out that there's a self-limiting belief for many people that are supposed to take a medicine that helps them stay well and not die, that when you really probe that what's going on for these people is that if they took their medicine every single day, month after month, they would be admitting that there's something wrong with them, that they're old, or they're sick, or that they're over the hill. Does that make sense? And so they don't want to do that. They don't want to take their medicine all the time, and so they don't comply, even though non-compliance will cause them to die. So it really gets kind of deep when you wonder, why do people not change? And my example of Jack, he wants to be participatory. He wants to involve his people. That's what he says. But when he steps up on the balcony and doesn't do that, he wonders why. Well, it's because at some level, he thinks that if he's non-participatory and sits back, people won't appreciate him, that they'll see him as not worth it all. And I've had some of my clients say, well, Gary, if I start doing more of what you're saying, delegate more, then people might look at me like, well, what's he there for? Why is he even here? And of course, that's not true. We're talking about the owner of a company. But some of these owners have that kind of mindset, that maybe I always have to be aggressive, always talk, or otherwise people won't understand that I am as good as I am. So we have to help people change their mindset. And that takes a process of time over multiple months, and having them do that disconnect from the dance floor. As Connie said, they're doing the twist and they're supposed to be doing something a little bit different. And so they have to do self-observations, and they come back, and then all of a sudden they report, oh, people are speaking up more. They are actually appreciating me when I'm not talking. And slowly they're able to change their behavior that way.
So who's using coaching these days? I hope you hear the underlying message that it's very successful people. It's not people with a problem, it's people at the top. Last Sunday in the New York Times business section, there was an article called Super Bosses. And Super Bosses was the title they gave to the coaches that are hired by the boards of very successful companies to work with the CEOs to take them to the next level. And we're not bringing in a new round of funding here until you have had a coach. Well, I don't need a coach. I know what I'm doing. I'm the boss. That's how I got where I am. I don't need a coach. Yes, you need a coach. We saw Eric Schmidt here of Google. I didn't think I needed it, but he did. Another example.
The research says that, and it's really kind of opposite, the higher up you go in an organization, you actually become more closed to feedback, which seems, unbelievable. But the idea is that as you rise up, you think that you're doing it because of your own skills. And by the time you get to be business owner or CEO, which is who I work with mostly, they become fairly closed to feedback. And of course, that's just a mistake. But they become closed to feedback because they believe that they've risen up, and so it must be a lot to do with themselves. And it is partially to do with themselves. But the people at the top actually need more feedback, not less. So to get them to be vulnerable and look at themselves from that balcony, that's how they help. So it is the higher performers that normally who we work with.
So that's who's using coaching. A couple other examples here. It's not always feedback in your interactions with other people. It could be like Do I have work-life balance? Why am I so miserable? Why am I gaining weight? Why am I, I love my job, but I don't love my job. How come my kids are fussy? It's the whole family. It's the integrated life. It's the holistic approach, work-life balance. Whereas an individual can have a coach and no one else in the organization needs to know about it. Or it could be conflict between individuals. And Gary and we've encountered that in coaching. And Gary's worked with individuals and said, okay, let's bring somebody else in. Let's do, let's get the three of us together. And it's, it can be among individuals and human interactions. It can be a team situation. How can you make a high performance team even more high performing? Well, you find out what the underlying dynamics are in that team. So it's not just, the one-on-one thing. There's a lot of different variations here and a lot of different situations that you can use. So now you all have a handout. And we'll go back to more examples and all. We want time to do this, but we're going to give you a chance to kind of see what it feels like. In our little teaser ad, we said, so how's your New Year's resolution? So it's February. How are those going? Research has shown that 1 out of 8 people even follow through to February 1st on their New Year's resolutions. Let's say you have a serious self-improvement goal, though, a serious self-improvement goal. What we do in coaching is we ask people to start, if they can't think of a self-improvement goal, what would the people closest to you think? Okay, what about your coworkers? What about your chair? What about your boss? What about your spouse? What about your kids? And so when I did my own 360 in my head, imagining my little world around me, it wasn't hard to come up with a self-improvement goal. So take a minute here. Imagine we're going to get this written down really fast, and then we're going to do a little interaction activity with this. Take a minute here. State your self-improvement goal. Write it down.
Add on there that a lot of times when I'm working with my clients, I have them imagine 5 people. They have to pick the 5 people. Normally it would be like a boss or a coworker or something, but you can pick any of the 5 people you want. And then I have them do a hypothetical. I have them imagine that those 5 people are in the room with me for like a focus group. And I know many of you know what focus groups are. And of course they go, oh my goodness, I wouldn't want to get those 5 people together. Well, it's just hypothetical. They're not going to be there, so you wouldn't be there. And then I ask those 5 people, so what is it that Connie could work on, do you all believe, that would make her and her organization more effective? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about you thinking of a self-improvement goal that others would also agree would be great for you. And it has to be something that you agree that you're willing to work on. Because it might be that all of them would like you to do A, but you don't have any buy-in to do A because that's just not who you are. And so you really don't want to do A. If that's true, then I would not take you as your coach. Because you have to have that felt need. You have to also decide, yes, I would like to do that. I'm not so sure I can do that, but I would like to change. I would like to make that improvement goal, either to be more participatory, less assertive, instead of leaning in, leaning back, more delegating. Many of my senior owners, or the owners of companies and the senior executives, they don't delegate enough, and there's various reasons. So maybe they want to delegate more. So it's something like that, that you have an improvement goal, that the 5 people that are closest to you, that have some experience working with you, because normally these are work-related goals, although a lot of times, as in the video, an excellent video, the work-life balance is often something that I talk about. I always know my client's family situation, the spouse, the kids, and everything else, and always working at how that integrates. So if you are right now following us, an improvement goal would be something that you honestly would like to get better at, and 4 or 5 people that are close to you would probably say, yeah, that would help if Gary got better at that. So take another minute and see if you can get that goal written down, and then we'll go forward.
Okay, then put down what technical changes this would require of you. What training, what skills do you need to learn? You know, you know how to throw that ball farther, kick it harder, whatever. Okay? And then how about adaptive changes in your mindset or values? Okay? Are you living according to your core values? Do the people you see every day, could they be able to say what those are? Is your life in balance? What adaptive changes might you make? To the bottom, go ahead and think, how long will it take you to reach this goal, and what are your chances for success of reaching your goal within your time frame? Remember, we're 6 weeks into 2014. How's that New Year's resolution going?
So I think what works really good is if a few people would maybe, I know it's kind of risky, but if you'd volunteer to kind of put out there what your goal might be and the difference between the technical part or the more adaptive part, we got to get somebody to kind of, show us an example. Now, obviously, some people might have put something down that they're not comfortable sharing. That's okay too. But it would be good if we got some interaction. So put your hand up if you're willing. There's one back there, Dan. Thank you very much for doing that.
Colton.
When we were up at Harvard at the Graduate School of Education, it was always a group of 30 or 40 people, and it was quite amazing how much you can learn from each other. And it turns out that a lot of the things in organizations that we want to get better at, there's some similarities. My research was all about participative decision making and the power of that. And that's a common one, is how can I be more participatory? And the whole idea about delegating is common as well, and work-life balance. But it continues going. So go ahead, please.
My name is Colton. I'm a senior here at Messiah. I think that my biggest struggle that I've had since I started high school was struggling to maintain balance with academics, sports, relationships, and other interests in areas in my life. And now that I'm getting older, that circle is getting a lot more complex. So, I work during the week while I have taking 18 credits this semester. I'm in a long-term relationship, so that changes the dynamics a little bit too. And I'm very involved in bodybuilding too, so that adds a very intense aspect of everything, and I really want to get very good at balancing those things. So.
While the transition's going on, what I just heard reminds me of this client, Frank. And so Frank was similar in this work-life balance situation. And so this is from his notes. So what Frank uncovered about the lack of work-life balance, Frank uncovered several previous invisible counter commitments. So he wanted to have more balance, but he was a high-charging person. His family was not happy. He was basically having serious marital problems, but he was very successful at work, but not successful at home. He was able to uncover invisible, what are called counter commitments. And these counter commitments were making it impossible to progress in his goal of a more balanced life. He wanted a more balanced life, but he came to see he was also committed to fulfilling never-ending expectations to keep succeeding. He needed to see himself as a success, to not have to change a carefully constructed life, to not doing anything that is just for himself. So he always had to work for the company. He couldn't imagine working for himself and creating a more happy home life. He just didn't quite get that. And then also to not considering that the problem rests not with the firm, but with him. He thought maybe the firm wouldn't value him as much if he didn't work all those crazy hours. Turned out that they did value him as much. They wanted him to have a balanced life, but he didn't quite get it. So through designing and carrying out a set of experiments, that's what we call them, or observations, testing the assumptions that lie behind these commitments, Frank was able to make the kind of changes that had been telling him that he wouldn't be able to survive in his high-charging career if he took more time off for his family. And that was just something that he had created himself. And they're very powerful, though, these self-generating or self-limiting behaviors.
I'm Amber. My goal was to be more open and accepting of feedback and constructive criticism.
Any other goals?
Thank you, Amber. And so, as we can see, this is not a technical thing where we can just train Amber to be more accepting. It comes from her own self-awareness of who she is and what she has to offer, and her self-identity, her self-worth. And she needs to be in a trusted situation to be able to make the adaptive changes to move through that. Okay, what we'd like you to do now is to find a partner, and whoever has the longest hair is going to talk first, okay? And you are going to, wait, you don't know what you're going to say. There's rules to this, there's rules. Okay, you need to face each other, look your partner in the eye. The person with the longest hair gets to talk for 3 minutes about their self-improvement goal, why it's important to them, why they want to work on this, and their partner cannot say a word, but they just must, reflective, affirmation without saying a word, and then in 3 minutes we'll switch, and then the person with the shorter hair gets to share their goal, and then we'll process what's going on. So, who has the longer hair? Everyone find a partner, and we'll say go. Okay, let's stop. Let's stop where we are. Now, we're going to process this after we've switched, but just take a breather here. It's kind of hard to talk about yourself uninterrupted for a length of time, isn't it? Especially to somebody you don't know. It feels kind of vulnerable, doesn't it? Okay, and it's kind of hard to listen and not jump in and give solutions and, oh, I know I was there too, and all of that. Okay, it's hard to be a coach. We've been consultants too, and consultants give answers. Coaches don't give answers. So you've experienced a little bit of both sides here. Okay, now we're going to switch. Ready, set, go. Time's up. Okay, process for a minute. Time's up. Time's up. Okay, what you just gave each other was the gift of listening. How rare is that in our culture? Does anybody just sit and listen to you and not interrupt you or give you advice for minutes on end in our culture? How good would that feel to have someone that was totally devoted to you? So just think about the person in front of you, if they fully existed for your benefit, if they gave you a path to work on, if they found your points of resistance, maybe your immunities to change, gave you challenges and activities that would help you make these adaptive changes. So, that's what a coach does, and they help you work on your professional and your personal capabilities put together in one package here. And so, we just wanted to give you a chance to really look at the kind of issues, outside of yourself that a coach works on within an organization here. We've got some other stories and one more slide, and we're gonna let you guys kind of simmer on the activity we just did, and how does that feel? What are my chances of success now, knowing I might have a friend helping me, someone sitting across from me, or maybe if I could really break down the steps to reach where I'm going. It might be a valuable tool. Just, maybe you just felt a little bit. So anyhow, before we get to a couple more stories, how do I find a coach? Okay, what do I do here? It's a rather new profession, rather new, not that new, but it's still gelling. Ask a professional in leadership development. We have several of those at Messiah. Rob Pepper, I like to call him Dr. Pepper, is starting the new program. Mike Zigarelli. We've got a lot of really talented people at Messiah. Take a workshop in leadership development, ongoing training, a seminar. I want to emphasize how important referrals are, though. You need somebody who, is on the same track you are, and you need to think, is my faith important? Do I want to include that? And Gary and I believe that, you know, the spiritual component of your life is a very important component, whether our clients are Christian or not. If you are a Christian and that is an important part of your life, it's probably pretty important that your coach shares those values if you're going deeply into mindset. So referrals are important. Then you need to talk to people, interview them. You know, they'll talk to you. Usually the first session is, you know, just, you know, to see if there's a fit there. There really needs to be, you know, chemistry, like we call it. And, you know, interview to find someone who walks the same walk you walk and, you know, finds that fit. Do a face-to-face meeting where you actually sit down with the coach and meet for a cup of coffee and just, you know, start sharing a little bit about maybe what you know, why you want to coach and stuff. And then usually it's a 3 to 5 month process of working on one of these self-improvement goals. As you see, as you wrote them out, as you looked at your adaptive changes that needed to be made, this is not something you can be trained to do on a Friday morning and then you show up at work Monday and life is all better and, you know, you've ironed out the wrinkles there in your organization. So it's a defined period of time where, like Gary said, we give you specific activities, specific tests where you can go out and test your assumptions, test your preconceived notions, your perceptions out in the real world, in your work environment, your church, your family, whatever. And, you know, you test it with your coach alongside of you to really step out and make those adaptive changes. Now, the goal of a coach is not to create dependency, but to launch that person and perhaps even give the person, your coachee, skills that they can work in a leadership role with people in their organization and carry on the process, give the person insights along the way that they can handle. So it's not you know, it's not a partnership forever kind of thing. It's I'm going to help you, you know, get to this next level, to be better than you are, whatever. So that's what goes on in the evaluation stage, okay? So I just want to share a couple of comments here that, you know, have come back to the best coach I know. And one of them came in a group seminar, business owners, and this is that Gary was facilitating. We do peer group facilitation with business owners of like industries, bringing them together so that lonely at the top can have other lonelies at the top away from the people that work for them where they can share their concerns. And the wife of a business owner, they own the business together. She said, well, I don't know if coaching made my husband a, you know, better leader, a better business manager, but sure made him a better man. And that just really meant a lot to Gary. And then another one that was kind of interesting was somebody who, you know, there was conflict with a business owner and someone in his organization. And, you know, Gary was able to work with both of them, iron it out, you know, over time and long-term, you know, relationship with this company and different people in it. And they said, well, I don't know how he does it, but it's like he's the horse whisperer for people. And it's like, it's an intuition. It comes from lots of training, lots of life experience, lots of wisdom. But there's that element of fine-tuning your interactions with people. And it's like being the horse whisperer for people. So any more stories here before we open up to questions? Okay, any questions? We'd like to hear what you guys have to say or questions on this. So, Patty? So, Dan, Patty's got a question.
I just have a question for students. My name is Patty and I'm a student. I know there's a bunch of students here. What would you recommend for us to do in regards to coaching and self-improvement?
Career Center obviously would be one place to start. So a lot of times career coaching blends into what I do. I don't do anything specifically as a career coach, but I do help people in coaching techniques that are similar to career coaching. But some colleges are actually starting coaching programs in the sense of peer coaching. I know that Babson College has a peer coaching program for all their MBAs, and so does Penn. So in some of the colleges, they actually have coaching training as part of the business curriculum so that the students can coach each other. Because there are some solid theoretical foundations to the process of coaching, and I think it's a good thing that perhaps you could work into a curriculum. So you could maybe encourage Messiah to take a look at coaching as a content area, and maybe in the peer realm, where peers to peers can coach each other.
Also, I know other schools have had, I worked with what was called a professional seminar, and that actually came from our provost at the school I was at, who actually got that from Harvard. But it was a year-long process for people the year before they graduated, where they explore their life gifts, their spiritual gifts, you know, just all the, it was like a 5 pieces of who I am, so that you make good choices, self-awareness, self-assessments, personality stuff, gifts, talents, passions, all of that, self-awareness, so that when you are graduating, you are not just, okay, I'll take the first job, someone who helps me, but it's a fit. It's a fit with the gifts God gave you, and you can have something to contribute, and you can also have passion for the work that you do. So I know that our Career Center in Christie, I know they have a lot of assessments available. They have people who are willing to work with you, and it's there for you. Also, find your favorite professor. I'm working with a young man now that graduated in December, and he's coming in every Monday to see me, and we're working on books to read. And it's his whole self-esteem thing that, I mean, he's an honor student, doesn't realize what he has to offer the world, and he's shyly going out there, and I'm like, go to the Career Center, go back to your advisor, go to your mentors, don't leave any stones unturned while you're at Messiah, because students have a lot of resources on campus. And I know I regularly preach in class. Colton's heard me preach about this is what you need to do. And there's lots of opportunities there. And maybe we could talk about a peer coaching thing through the Career Center to help people, do some of this. So good. Okay.
I saw online a coaching certification program, and a professional organization. They invited people to contact them and request RFPs, request for proposals from different coaches to, they invited the applicant to say, this is what I need. And then people would respond and sort of make offers of, I can offer this at such and such a price. Could you comment on certification and that kind of thing in coaching and that approach?
Coaching is, in my mind, a lot like consulting. I mean, it's different in the process, but it's similar in the sense that there really, in my opinion, are all kinds of different bodies that would let you be an accredited consultant or an accredited coach. And those are important, but more important is being able to talk to the person and research them and find out if they're the kind of person that works for you. So it's not as regulated at all, and I don't think it should be, as like a certified accountant or any of the other medical professions or whatever. It is a profession, and you do want to find somebody that's got some training, but it's not necessarily that whether they've been certified at the A, B, or C level really matters as much. It's more meeting them, talking to one or two people, and seeing if there's a fit. If there's a fit and they can really help you. And if you think that they can help you, then I would say go for it. And that's the best way. Meet somebody and then give them a chance, because after a couple meetings, if it doesn't work, I mean, you can tell if it's working or not. I think that's a much better way of doing it. More questions, please. We want to encourage you to put some hands up. We got time.
I just have a question about like advice for if someone wanted to become a career, I'm not a career coach, just a coach. Like what your career path was to becoming a coach. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I think business experience is a really good avenue to get into coaching, having walked the walk, talk the talk. Gary got into it through consulting, business consulting, actually, helping people, manage the day-to-day of their businesses. And then it grew into coaching. There are training programs that you can take to be a coach. I think to be credible, you have to have background in something. I don't think you graduate and be a coach. Yeah, you need business experience for. I always say that a little gray hair helps the credibility, Dave. So I think business experience and then a good training program. And we're just about out of time here, and so I just want to share with you guys, we've both done our training through this Mindset Work organization out of Harvard University that was developed through the adult, the Graduate School of Education there for adult development theory, because we believe in the model. It's a powerful model. It works in your personal life, your professional life. So that's where we did our training. We have not, there's a lot of quote certifications like for life coaching and all, and if I do so many hours then I get certified, and you need to find people. It really has to do with people's experience, their level of training. It has to do with that personal referral, that personal click. Just finding a coach online and reading their bio, that's a place to start, but there has to be a personal connection there. We have some materials up here for you. We have books you can look at on the coaching model that we use, Immunity to Change, on mindsets, Gary's book on Lead with Authenticity, on the the whole self-awareness, developing yourself as a leader. And we've got copies of articles that you can take with you. One's more business-oriented, one's more for fun, and you're welcome to take a copy. If there aren't enough copies, you can email us and we'll send you off a copy. Our contact info is at the bottom of your self-improvement goal page. So we just want to thank you guys for the opportunity to share one of our passions with you, and we really think it's a privilege to be called by God to help people manage the change in the world and just come alongside people. I don't like to lose students when they graduate. We are in touch with alumni from the 80s, from the 90s, from the 2000s, and these are people we care deeply about in their mid-career, and this gives us a chance to continue working with people at the mid-career level and above. And I just want to thank you for giving us a few minutes. Fun.
Let's all give Gary and Connie our gratitude.
Thank you once again for joining us for this presentation produced by the Messiah College Business Alumni Association. We hope you join us and participate in our upcoming events. You can stay up to date with news and learn about our upcoming events by visiting us online at www.messiahbusiness.com. Thanks again and have a great day.